Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Survivor NSFW Rewind. Professor Tim watches Borneo. I'm Karen Eisenberg, your host, and I am being joined, as always, by Professor Tim Wilson, my co-host. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, but I'm a little bit worried. I've got these 3 views of 3 different people, one of them being me, and my head is so enormous. I feel like the brain, or
yeah, we're the brains of the operation. That's what
I was gonna say that's because you've got such a big brain, Tim.
Oh, I think it might also might just be beard. I mean, because really I do look like a sort of inflated chipmunk, don't I?
Okay,
Yeah.
you already heard her. And if you've ever heard her before, you know that voice, you know that accent. We are also joined today by the great Elaine Stott of Island of the Idols. So she's in Survivor 39.
I appreciate you having me on. This is kind of cool talking to somebody with such a cool accent over here in Tim.
Yeah. Tim and Elaine have been enjoying each other's accents. I of course, don't have an accent.
We're in a mutual appreciation society. If I had an accent like that, I'd be remaking Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
I'm doing Jumanji as it should be.
Yes, exactly.
Trying to understand or picture Mrs. Doubtfire, but they all have Elaine's accent.
Oh,
well, I could.
That would be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny. I really don't feel like it's that strong, though. Is it that strong? Like, I just don't.
You got an accent.
If you talk to me long enough, I might be able to pick it up, because it's you sort of accent. You put the accent in different places to the places where I would put the accent, which is what's so gorgeous about it.
Oh, okay.
You do something
I'll take that,
which I don't do.
Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. So
you must. It's a compliment. It's an absolute joy. You can talk forever.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
And now we've got you on the podcast, we can just switch you on, you see.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Elaine, why don't you just, tell everybody what you've been up to since the end of your season?
When it first ended, I was basically fan favorite, so I got all these opportunities to start going to schools and doing like public speaking and stuff like that, and which I thought was super cool, because I come from poor beginnings, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, and for those people that became my fans, it was like I reached a goal that some of them probably won't ever meet. So I wanted to go to the schools and talk to the youngins and just be like, yo, it don't matter where you come from. It's where you end up. And you can get there if you just persevere and get after it. And so it's been super cool doing that. And then Corona hit, and it's like, now I'm just redneck chilling at the house, getting fat and lazy. Not doing anything.
Now, what's the difference between redneck chilling at the house getting fat and, coastal elite chilling in the house getting fat? Because that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, redneck chilling is basically I do redneck stuff. I have bonfires. I go fishing. I ride my razor. I just hang out at the farm and just do country things.
Ride your razor?
Yeah, it's a side-by-side 4-wheeler is what it is. It's kind of like a car.
I thought a razor was something that clearly
No.
And I was thinking razor scooter. So
no, it's got 4 tires on it. It's made for climbing rocks, going through mud, and the thing will run about 70. So if you want to hit a lick and go real fast,
it's a quad bike.
Yeah, it's like a 4-wheeler, only it's a 2-seater, and you got a steering wheel and gas pedals and stuff. But it's called a razor or side-by-side. So I get that thing out and just ride around, and it's pretty fun. So that's redneck chilling.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and that sounds like a whole lot more fun than being in the city. At least I have a little balcony, so I've got stuff, but that's all my outdoor space.
Yeah, see, I got a 100-acre farm, so I just
You're making a lot of people very jealous.
What do you farm? What do you have?
It used to be my grandpa's farm. He bought it back in 1980, and he had horses. So we got 2 barns, and we had at least 20 horses at all times. And when he passed back in 2008, I've not had a horse since. And so I kind of just maintain the land now and bush hog and cut trees back, that kind of thing. Just take care of it, basically. My girlfriend wants a horse. I haven't given into it because I got a lot of fixing I gotta do.
Give in.
Yeah.
I lived for about 3 years on the edge of a stud farm, and it was wonderful. You open the door to this scent of horse, bucolic smells, just wonderful, and the occasional sheep wandered in, God knows from where.
Yeah, so no horses right now, but I do have 7 dogs outside, so it's like maybe it's a dog farm. I don't know.
Oh, I'm very happy with dogs. What sort of dogs do you have?
I have a Great Dane. His name's Moose. And then I have 5 boxer border collie mixes. Mm-hmm. And then I have a Chihuahua Shih Tzu mix that stays in the house.
Yeah, I was going to say, the little one. Now, he's got to be, I'm surprised that the big dogs haven't taken him out yet. Right? Because he's got to know that he's the only one who's allowed in the house.
Well, Moose, the Great Dane used to be in the house. And my girlfriend
is on the way to being a horse, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, me and my girlfriend moved in together after the show. And she's like, the dog's got to go. So because she's got the little dog, and he just throws a paw up, and that little dog goes spinning. So I put him outside at the request of my woman, and I got a shed out there, and so I fenced him in because I'm worried about him running off and somebody stealing him or something. But
you heard about what with Hope Solo's dog got shot?
Really?
Yeah, she had a Doberman, and it was off her property. It was not leashed, but I'm not obviously it was not right the thing to shoot the dog. But there's crazy people out there. You got to be careful.
Yeah, well, he's a Great Dane, and that's like walking around money to some of these people around here. It's like, if they seen him, you know what I mean, they would snatch him up real quick and probably take him and sell him. So it's like, I usually let my dogs run because I live on such a big farm. I just let them run. But sometimes I get too many. I had 16 at one time, outside dogs.
Wow.
And they were running, they were running amok. So like they would go to my neighbors, which is like a quarter mile. And they would go to my neighbors and chase her goats and her chickens. And she called animal control on me. So it's like, I had to cut back. So I usually try to keep at least 4 or 5. I try to get them from the pound because I just feel bad for the dogs that are at the pound. And when I get them, I try to get 2. That way they got a buddy, so it's like, I got 7 right now. I'm trying to keep the numbers down because my woman goes crazy. So,
but her dog, the little fluff ball is in the house though.
That's the princess. She runs the house basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, she literally does. And that thing is so spoiled rotten. Like my girlfriend is obsessed with that dog. She loves her so much. If anything happens to that dog, I don't know what my girlfriend's going to do. It's going to be devastating because that thing is like her child. She bought her a little purse, with a dog purse.
Yeah.
And so she puts it around her shoulder and her arm and stuff. And she packs that thing in the Walmart. She goes to Lowe's. Like, she carries that little dog with her everywhere. Yeah. So
my cat's struggling to get into the. Can one
yeah. All right. Are we getting Bay? I know that Tim's got 2 cats, and one of them was famous for being on the circle. Yeah. You want to talk about playing favorites with your pets, right? He brought. Is it Bay or is it?
I brought Bay onto the circle, but
right.
This is Hannum, who's the
right.
older cat, and they're Siamese, so they have Turkish names.
Oh, really?
And Hannum means lady, and Bay means lord. And she is a sort of lady, but she's the sort of lady that you would avoid crossing. You would cross the road to avoid her, because she hisses like nobody's business, but she loves me, so we're fine.
Cats are strange animals. They really are. Like, they want love on their time, and then when they don't want it, stay away from them.
Oh, yeah. As somebody who is right now isolating, quarantined at home with a cat, I can certainly speak to that. And I've always been more of a dog person my whole life, but just at this phase in my life, I sold the house. The kids are all out of college, or now graduating from college, right? And I wanted to have the flexibility of not having to come home and walk a dog or be able to, travel when that used to be a thing. Or whatever. But so it is very nice having another living creature around, but it's very different from a dog. If you just feel like, you need to cuddle something, you try that with my cat and she didn't request it. And the claws come out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
Well, now this one is getting, she's very old and she's very frail, and she's decided she spends the nights downstairs on her own, She's quite defiant now. Suddenly, it didn't happen within the last 3 weeks, really. And
now, do you feel like your cats are picking up on the idea that something's different? Don't worry, people. At some point, we're going to start talking Survivor.
Oh, in my case, no, not at all. Because I spend a lot of time at home, just working. I switch off everything and I just draw. And I'm because of my gender, obviously, I can't do two things at once. I'm not clever enough, and I find if I've got music on, that sort of distracts me. And so I tend to work in silence. Recently, I found audio books, and I find they don't distract me too much because they're sort of words, and I can pick up on the words, and the brain can work. But music, it sort of takes me away. And if I'm trying to do some animation, you want the freedom to think: is this character going to jump, or is this character not going to jump, or where's the hand going? And you've got music going on in your head. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Elaine. So Tim is famous for he's a great artist, and he just makes these, little sketches, he calls them, of people he encounters, and it's amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. I can draw stick figures.
I can barely do that.
It's a starting point, Elaine. You see, stick figures really are. If you can make it work with a stick figure, then you can add a little bit. You can. Yeah. The rest is just embellishment. If you've got the stick figure right, then it works, you see.
Yeah, I can't draw stuff, but I do have that redneck ingenuity where I build stuff that not necessarily you can sell on the market, but it's gonna work. You know what I mean? It's called redneck ingenuity. I have that in me, but it's a different kind of creativity.
I'm just wondering, how did you prepare for your season of The Survivor?
It was a little different for me than most people. When I got the call, my mom was on life support in the hospital, and so I was actually in the hospital with her when all of it started happening. And so my main focus was on that. I mean, I wanted to be on the show, but at the same time, like, I was going through so much stress with making the decision on whether or not to unplug, and then just all kinds of things. Huh?
I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, it was a tough time, but like we decided, I was like, yo, we're not unplugging her. We're gonna work this out. She's tougher than you think. So she actually started waking up, started getting better as I was going through the process with Survivor. Like, she was improving, and so when I went in December to finals, they had said that she got so much better. They were like, yo, she's gonna be able to come home. Because I was going to let her come live with me and take care of her. Well, when I come back from finals, she died the following week. And so after that happened, I called production and my casting person. I was like, yo, my mom died. And so I had to go through talking to the psychologist and stuff and making sure I was mentally ready to go and this, that, and the other. So I didn't really prepare until after I got the okay with the psychologist. And then I think I started putting my focus into dropping a few pounds because I just didn't know what to do with myself after going through all that. So I lost 20 pounds. I started doing CrossFit. So I lost 20 pounds in a month. I started doing CrossFit. And then I quit smoking cold turkey when I got on the plane. And that's about all the preparation I did.
Oh, really? Other people have done that and it has not gone well.
Well, see, that's the.
So I know this is the first time I'm hearing this. So Elaine and I've been chatting with Elaine since before her season, right? Because I'm one of those annoying fans where I'll just like, hey, and like, if you don't want to talk to me, you won't write back, right?
I talk to everybody.
I know, which has been amazing. But I'm saying, I didn't even hear that you just quit smoking cold turkey right before you went out.
Well, I had quit when my mom was sick. I was like, I need to quit smoking. I would go smoke in the hospital and like go down and go to the chapel, pray, and then go smoke. But then I decided, I was like, I'm going to quit. And I quit for a couple weeks. And then my birthday hit. And I think with everything that was going on, here's a little backstory. My mom left when I was 2. We didn't have the typical mother-daughter relationship. And I was more so the parent than she was. And but she was homeless for most of her life. But no matter where she was in the world, whether she had a nickel to her name or a roof over her head, she always called me on my birthday. Mm-hmm. So when my birthday hit, right after she passed,
Mhm.
I just had a hard time. And my friends come over and they were smoking. I was like, yo, give me a cigarette. So I started smoking again.
Mhm.
And I smoked for, a couple more months before I finally left. And I smoked my last cigarette when I got on the plane. I got to the hotel in LA and they took my phone, this, that, and the other. And then I started having a panic attack. I was like, oh, like, I don't think I could do this. And I kind of just sat down and I breathed a little bit. And after about 15 minutes, I kind of calmed down and it just went away. And I swear on everything, I never thought of smoking again until I got voted out. Day 35.
Really? And then you wanted a cigarette?
I never even thought of it. It never crossed my mind. I think because I had so much else going on that my brain prioritized, and that was not a priority. You know what I mean? So it's like I focused on so much other stuff and it didn't even bother me. Like I was so surprised because that was one of my biggest fears is that, I've been smoking for 30 years now. And it's like, yo, if I go out there, I'm going to struggle. Same thing with food because I'm a little big girl. I'm talking about Busta Can of Biscuits. So it's like, yeah, I was like, go ahead.
No, I'm glad you said Busta Can of Biscuits because the one thing I also did forget to do. So today I'm modeling. I'm going to stand up so everybody can see what show I'm. I am wearing the Busta Can of Biscuits T-shirt.
Yeah,
coming from Johnny. So I just let me do my little spiel, and I won't have to do it later. That our show obviously is on the Survivor NSFW network, home of the great Johnny Fairplay. And what are we famous for besides, dead grandmas? We're famous for T-shirts.
Yeah.
So if you go to johnnyfairplay.com and you purchase a T-shirt, right, you will get a call from great Johnny Fairplay. And when I did it, so that's how I originally met Johnny. It really is true. Please make sure you put your phone number on the order form because he will call you and he will, want to know everything about you. So T-shirts are what we do. And like I said, this Busta Can of Biscuits. So maybe we should explain. We really have to start talking about this episode.
Yeah.
But she said this on the show. It ended up on a T-shirt.
I referred to myself as a Busta Can of Biscuits. I was like, listen, I understand. I'm 5'2". I'm a Busta Can of Biscuits. I'm not a beast like these, And so that one line of me referring to myself that way kind of went viral a little bit, and and people went crazy for it. So now I refer to myself as the Biscuit, and it's been super funny. So. Yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Now you might be a Busta Can of Biscuits, but how many immunities did you win?
Well, I won one immunity and I came second. I came second a couple times.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that whole Busted Can of Biscuits thing. I mean, it's nice that you're so self-effacing, but you're a lot stronger than you looked.
Well, that's what I would say. I was like, yo, don't let this physique fool you. I used to be an athlete 20 years ago and that drive is still there. I just got a little extra layers now. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, it was fun though.
Okay, so let's go straight into the episode. So yeah, sorry, Tim. So I guess the first thing I wanted to first we have this opening where we have a shot of each survivor. This is the first, and this is going to become a thing on Survivor until it stopped being a thing. Where the show had started with a shot of each person reminding us of who they are, which tribe they're on. I used to find it really helpful. Yeah, with the name and all of that.
Helpful.
Yeah, we didn't get that on season.
Well, I was right, but this is the thing, right? But Tim, like I said, they have put in so many of these
I will
games.
Be so lost by the time I get to you. I don't know who any of these. Oh, I know her.
No, I told you they have
crammed for you because you'll be the only person I will be able to identify.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I was super popular is because a lot of people probably felt the same way as like, yo, we know who she is. You know what I'm saying? So that worked out.
I must say, you mentioned all this sort of the redneck thing, so I'm not very familiar with this, but I've been watching a television series called Ozcart or Ozart or something. Ozark.
Yeah,
Ozark.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but Ozark is on.
No,
yes, it's really wonderful. In fact, it's so wonderful. I think I'm going to do a little YouTube review of it. But now why am I saying this? Because the redneck thing. I think. Oh yes, that's why. Because I sit and watch these with my partner, and so halfway through the series, I said to him, "Oh, who's he?" And my partner would say, "Well, he's so and so," and I think, yeah, I really don't know because it seems that everybody comes from the same casting director, and obviously this casting director has a particular look they like, and and they all seem to be slightly interchangeable after they get to a certain age. All the men look the same, all the girls look the same, and I'm completely confused. I don't really know who is who. So I love to have names.
Yeah. We also have a note here in the chat. Adam Katz says that, Tim, that you should check out Duck Dynasty. You'll get it real quick.
Yeah,
that's if you want to understand redneck culture.
It's called Duck Dynasty. That show's awesome. I love that show.
And that's got nothing to do with Joan Collins and
no. It's basically just a bunch of rednecks. They make duck calls, and that's how they've made their fortune is off of duck calls. It's it's like a little whistle you blow that kind of sounds like a duck, and
I see.
It cons, So they make a living, and they've made their fortune off making duck calls. So they call it Duck Dynasty, but it's just basically just a bunch of burly old rednecks with a bunch of camo on, and they do some funny stuff, and it's pretty good. I like it.
Well, I would try and check it out. Yep. Okay.
It'll fascinate you. Watch it. It's pretty good.
So then the next thing we see after the intro, so that was the point with Tim with the intro, is that they have crammed so many game elements into the show now that they have cut that 45-second or whatever it was intro at the beginning.
Yes.
That shows you who everybody is.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but now you just have to be aware, and they'll still show on the show, when somebody's having a confessional, they'll still show you their name.
Good.
Yeah. But we miss those. Those used to be fun. So the next thing we see is that both of the tribes are hungry, right? And Rudy actually says he's not hungry yet to eat a rat, but it makes it sound like he's open to it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we also see that Rudy was opening cans of food without asking. And I think, Elaine, you can speak to this as somebody who's been on Survivor, right? You do not mess with people's food.
Yeah, that's a huge no-no. Actually, if you do anything without permission per se, is a huge no-no. It just paints a target on your back. So you really try not to do those things. And but Rudy, being the man that he was, which he reminds me of my grandpa so much, he just didn't give a shit. So it's like,
and neither did BB. Well, I might have to disagree with you on this a little bit, Elaine, because the difference is, BB did not give a shit. Okay, that is very clear.
That's true. You correct.
Rudy did say, he said some things, in the previous episode and on this one also, that makes it's clear that he's aware that he needs to fit in, right, in a way that BB was not. But he probably just didn't understand how people were going to respond.
Yeah.
When he just, took a can of food.
Well, you can see the two different mentalities. Like BB and Rudy both were in the same age group. They both have that same mindset of old school stuff. And whereas, like you had pointed out, whereas Rudy was willing, he's like, I'm the one that needs to change. Where BB's like, hell no, I ain't changing nothing. You know what I mean? But that also came to BB's demise. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna talk a lot about BB. We're gonna talk a lot.
Can I ask a sort of? You may not be able to answer this on a contractual basis, but certainly I was very much aware when I was in the circle that there were people monitoring how much I ate, when I ate, whether I slept, and so on, and they got very anxious if they felt I wasn't eating.
Really? They were monitoring you just to make sure that you were still doing okay psychologically. Yes. You mean?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. I must say, and I don't know whether you had the same experience on the show, Elaine, but I felt extraordinarily cared for when I was on my show.
That's the difference between the Circle and Survivor. Is Survivor, they want you to survive, so they give no assistance whatsoever.
Nothing at all.
No, I mean, okay, they give you bug spray, sunscreen, and tampons, and then they provide a well with water in it, and you boil it or you drink it, whichever is your choosing. And then there are coconuts. They put you on certain islands, and you got coconuts and stuff. But no, they do not hand you or remind you to eat, drink, whatever.
Right. Now, and I feel like they're kind of trying to strike a balance in the sense that they do want you to suffer, right? But they don't want you to suffer too much. I mean, first of all, they don't want anything bad to happen to you. And then even short of that, if people really get real hungry, then they tend to be less entertaining, right? If you're just lying around all day.
Yeah, well, see, also like towards the end, I got to a point where I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't want to drink anything. I just couldn't do it. Like listen, they started making 2 pots of rice a day, and one would set until the next morning. So the next morning it would be cold, wet, had sand in it, and I just couldn't stomach it. And then the water, the well was so nasty that like I would stare in my water bottle at all the crap in it. So it got to where I didn't want to drink and stuff. And then I had actually. You see the doctor before every challenge just to make sure that you're okay, because they don't want you to die. And he would be like,
they let the water go off.
Do what?
They allow the water to get dirty and unpleasant.
Well, you're supposed to boil water, so that's your responsibility. But as far as like getting to a point where I don't want to drink, like the doctor's like, yo, if you don't drink, you're going to get dehydrated and you're going to be out. So, I mean, they do to a sense, like take care of you and look after you, because like he just kept pointing out, is like, you know what I mean? Like I have to drink water. So it's like, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So it's like, it was up to me on whether or not I do so. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, no, but the doctor's right. I mean, eating is one thing. I mean, like I said, if you don't eat for a few days, your energy will be low and you'll feel like bad, but you're not going to die. Whereas if you don't drink, you're going to get sick real fast.
Well, like Nora like dove in the well and there was like these slugs down in the bottom of it. And I was just like, I don't want to drink this water. So it was rough for me. That was the hardest part. It was super rough.
Yeah, no, Tim, just to make it clear, I mean, obviously they've got the money. They could just give them, endless amounts of mineral water, right? But it's part of the whole experience, right? You have to pretend that you were shipwrecked on an island.
Yeah.
Right. And so there is a water source, but it's not the best. And that's why they boil it.
Yeah.
Right. To get rid of the pathogens and things like that. But there's still been cases where people have gotten very sick right after the show.
Yeah,
for parasites and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as it was because they're in Fiji now, so they stay in one place. Like Borneo is like a totally different spot. And so with Fiji for the past few years, they've stayed in Fiji. So they've kind of got like a little system that works where they can still produce a show that's enjoyable for people to watch. And it still has the survivor aspect to it, but it's not to the extreme that they went through like in Borneo and Africa. I think Africa was one of the toughest seasons by far. So
Fiji, presumably you've got real people not too far away.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can't throw a rock and hit a house. I mean, you got a few miles in between islands, but
I see. You actually have an island of your own.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not good with geography and all this, that, and the other, but Fiji's made up of a bunch of different little islands. And so they just pick one that's the most remote and put you on it. And then there's other islands around that have like civilization on them and stuff, but you're not a part of that. So, I mean, but you can still be like, if I built me a raft, I can make it over there in 5 days. I know it,
And did you plan to do this?
No. But I was saying it wasn't dire straits. Whereas if you like in Borneo, or if you're in Africa, for example, like it's like, if you leave your little circle that they've built of those thorn bushes, you might die. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah.
And you were rigged up with microphones, presumably.
Not when you're in camp. You don't have mics on. They have camera crews in camp with you.
Oh, I see. Right.
And so they got boom people that hold mics over your head and stuff like that. But when you go to challenges and tribal council, you're mic'd up.
Right.
So they don't miss nothing.
Right.
Yeah, because Tim was marveling last time, and it really is true when you think about it, that they've got multiple cameras and multiple mics, at camp, and yet they have, with very few exceptions and emergencies, whatever, you never see another camera or mic in the shot. They are very, very good at what they do.
Yeah, they're great about that, and I think my season is the only season that fourth wall was actually broken. It was the first time in the show's history that it was. I think that I remember. So it's like
they've had it like with Caleb. We've seen it a few times, like in medical emergencies.
Yeah, in a medical emergency. I'm just talking about in game stuff.
Right, but the fact that they're actually showing like raw footage.
Yeah, because they do a great job with editing things and keeping it. They do a great job with what they do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the thing for anybody who's going on to a reality show is if you feel you can trust the show, it will look after you, because that's what these professional people are doing all the time.
Yeah,
they're making that show, and they do it really very well.
Yeah.
If you fight against the show, really you're on a hiding for nothing, because you won't win.
Well, with Survivor, though, there are the elements that there are things that could possibly happen that nobody just has control over. You know, if you're sleeping and a snake crawls up in camp, like, you know what I mean? Or I went spearfishing and I was almost shark bitten in the face, and I almost died. And nobody was out there with me. It was me and Aaron out in the water. He was about 30 yards away from me, but I was all by myself.
Camera with you as well.
The water was too shallow for them to get the boat out, so they were shooting from the bank. And I had went out to the edge of the reef and dove off and was, you know, spearfishing off the edge of the reef. And a little 5-foot shark like tried to bite me in the face, and I didn't go spearfishing after that. But the point is that
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, things really can happen. Like, you really can get hurt.
How did you stop the shark?
I had a spear in my hand, and
I see, and you're boom.
Well, what it was is I was spearfishing, and out of the corner of my eye, I seen a shark go around the other edge of the reef just next to me. And I was like, oh my God, it freaked me out. So I jumped up on the reef, which is about it was about thigh high. And I was like, oh my God, there's a shark right here. And I was hollering at Aaron. I was like, Aaron, come look at the shark. And I was pointing down. And he started Scooby creeping out of the water. He was so scared. He wouldn't even come over there. And I was like, come check it out. Look at it. Look at it. And he's like, no way. Well, I had put my goggles on my face like a redneck that I am. I wanted to see what was going on. And I stuck my head down in the water. And so I'm still standing on this like kind of like cliff. I'm like standing up here looking down in the water. And I see the shark come from this side, and he swims underneath the cliff I'm standing on. And I think he's going to the left. Well, he comes straight up underneath the cliff and comes straight for my face. Well, I had taken my fins off. I had in one hand and I had a spear in the other. And he got within like 6 to 8 inches away from me because I was like really down in the water. And he came like right up to my face. And I just throwed myself back in the water. And I just started stabbing and kicking as fast as I could. And I was freaking out. And then I Scooby creeped out of the water and got the hell out of Dodge. Yeah, it was so scary.
God.
You mean all these people who say that, like, other than a great white with these small sharks, supposedly, as long as you don't bother them, they're not going to bother you. You're telling me that's a lie. Right?
No, but what it was is I was in his territory. I was in his I was in his home. So whenever I was standing on that reef, like, he came at me to shoo me away, basically. And like, he tried to bite me. It was so scary. And no, it wasn't a great white, but I don't care. I'm not trying to get bit. I'm getting the hell out of there.
Well, I thought all sharks were potentially dangerous, but except for biting sharks.
That's my point, is like, I don't care if he's big or not big. I still don't try to mess with it, you know.
Oh, and, no argument for me.
I did have my first thought was to stab him. When I first seen him, I was like, yo, I'm going to stab him. But I remember somebody had told me that their skin is really tough. So I thought, well, all I'm going to do is lose my spear. Like, it's not going to kill him. And then I was like, yo, but I was so stupid. I was like, yo, I was in 3 foot of water, and I was like, he could still bite me.
Yeah,
so right.
He could. Big dorsal fin.
Yeah.
So
it's dangerous. There are dangerous elements to it. And
well, there are dangerous elements to ordinary life. I was on a mountainside in Albania, and I saw a shepherd with a big conical hat, and I thought, oh, let's go and talk to him, because, you know, we can talk about goats and stuff. And the person I was with said, no, he'll speak no known language. And he was quite right. He did speak no known language. And I went up to him. I thought, well, at least I can talk to his dogs, who looked very charming, and sitting next to him. They weren't dogs. They were baby bears. It was my Teddy Roosevelt moment.
Really?
And I didn't realize they were baby bears. I thought they were dogs, because, you know, I'm not really thinking very much. I'm a little bit eccentric. And I thought I had to stroke one of these dogs. And at that moment, the man managed to break into a language which I sort of understood. It was, I think, Turkish. He said, York, and pushed me away. and
Really?
and these mouths opened, and baby bears have got the most extraordinary sort of extenuated mouth. It's like the Alien or you know, the Scream thing. It's huge. It's sort of, the jaw comes down and all sort of blobbery bits of, and you just think, there goes my hand. There goes my hand.
Yeah.
To Teddy. And you know, I don't have a teddy bear anymore. I think partly because of this reason. I'm obviously terrified of being a savage during the night.
Right.
So that's my experience of a toothy beast.
Yeah.
But mine was much smaller than yours, I think.
Yeah, the only thing that's tried to bite me recently is my cat. So, you know, that's 9 pounds of attitude.
She likes going for my nose. It starts off with a lick, and the next thing you know, she's trying to sort of go up the nostrils, and it's
All right, so let's go back to Rudy, right? And we also we already saw this quote back.
I've got down here, Rudy Aggressive. Is that reasonable?
Well, in what way? Where do you think he's?
I don't know. I've just written down Rudy Aggressive, and then Rudy and Kelly. And I've got lots of stuff, but we're going to get to that, I think. But here I've got a sort of box thing right at the beginning. I've got Stacey stirs up against Rudy, and then Rudy Aggressive, BB.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Well, BB, like I said, BB is, when we talk about Bagong, we'll talk about BB. But with Rudy, I mean, he probably was doing a little bit of what BB was doing, but the difference was, I think that he was able to save most of his rancor for his tribe mates for confessionals, right? That they were, and that's the trick, I feel like, to play Survivor is, don't take your frustrations out on your tribe mates. It never goes well. Right, save it up and vent with the producers later.
Yeah.
So he was still able to gain, even though he got 3 votes the last time. Right, it does seem that maybe he's gaining a foothold, and the real foothold we see is his relationship with Rich. Right, with that famous line and about. I like Rich, but not in a homosexual way. That's for sure. Right. Yeah. Famous quote in Survivor. And in terms of the way this came up in the show, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but you might realize you can't really figure out. They had to play with the timing here because my understanding about what happened was that actually Rudy found out at the first tribal council. I think other people knew. But then in the second episode, he's acting as if he just found out. And Elaine, I mean, again, you could speak to that sometimes they do show things a little bit out of order. It's been known to happen.
I mean, whatever fits the storyline better. I mean, they don't drastically change things where, they completely fabricate stuff. I don't think so much. I mean, they just make the story more interesting. But I think you're right. I think he might have found out. They were all talking about it, and I think he might have found out a day or two before.
So they would then ask him to explain what is his reaction to discovering that Richard is gay.
Right. So, but that's the thing that I think everybody kind of expected. Oh, he's a military guy. Everybody's just expecting him to be prejudiced, and he really wasn't. I mean, that was the thing when he says, he's good at what he does, basically, and he even says, like with his buddies, he says,
I don't understand. I don't understand this American sort of problem with gays in the military. Surely being gay and being in the military is like a sort of heavenly dream, really. It's the two things really ought to go together, slot in, so to speak. But I don't understand.
Well, unfortunately we stopped with that. But
what I don't understand is the homophobia in the American military.
Well, I think it's just ignorance. You know what I mean? It's just.
But there must be so much of it. What do they do on their own?
So for a long time they had it, and this was about the time of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So it used to be, yes, that they bounce you out of the military if they found out you were gay, even if somebody just tattled or whatever. Then they started this policy called Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which
means everybody gets on with it and nobody says anything.
Right, exactly. As long as you don't make a fuss about it, because like I have a friend who was in the military, was gay, and that was the thing. Like, he couldn't bring his partner to a dance or something like that, but he didn't have to. As long as he didn't talk about it, his job was secure. Yeah. And I agree with you. Look, it's a different world. That's what I find so interesting about this. That we're 20 years on now, right? And this sounds like something that would have happened. Well, I guess it kind of almost was in a previous century.
Yeah.
But but when he says, this is what I found really striking with Rudy was that he said, yeah, my buddies are going to give me a hard time when I get home, and you know what, they're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's somebody who's not prejudiced, right? He's just never been exposed.
But I just don't believe he was never exposed. When I was younger and I used to meet lots of sort of officers and things, and I would sort of indicate, that I was gay, and raise an eyebrow and say, "Well, as long as it don't do anything wrong with the horse," and you just thought, yeah, you know all about it. You know all about it. Hours together in a barracks, nobody said anything, and that was fine.
Yeah.
I would have thought the same thing was true in America, but there does seem this extraordinary sort of trumpet obsession with people's gender.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But anyway,
and again, Elaine, you're just enough older, you're younger than Tim, that I'm assuming again that you've had different experiences, right?
Yeah.
When you were coming up, I mean, I'm sure there was still some prejudice, but if you got to prepare what the world that Rudy grew up in, right, versus the world you grew up in.
Well, I was raised by my grandpa, who was 72 years old when I moved in with him, and so it's like there's a huge generation gap there. You know what I mean? And the way I live my lifestyle is like I'm Elaine first. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like a real put myself out there, whatever kind of person. I'm more of a private individual. So like when people meet me, it's not something like, hey, I'm Elaine, I'm gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, yo, I'm Elaine, I'm country, I like cussing, I'm not very,
Yeah.
And then it's like,
it's part of who you are. It's a small part of who you are.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like people want to put you in a box. I hate that. I hate being put in a box. I don't like labels. And I tell people all the time, if you listen to the song from John Lennon, Imagine, it tells you everything you need to know about being a human being and being a person, and tells you everything you need to know about treating other people, whatever. Yeah. And part of that is getting rid of all the labels, getting rid of all the boxes we place on ourselves, and the separation, be it religion, race, whatever, sexuality, whatever. If we got rid of all that and just treated each other as people, it'd be totally different. So for me, I just come at it like that. It's like, yo, I'm Elaine. I just happen to be gay, And for my life, mostly, unless you're close to me, I don't share my personal details with anybody anyway. So it's like, if you figure it out and we ain't close enough for us to have a conversation, then go on about your business, So that's how I feel.
Well, I would sort of second almost all of that, except of course now coming off a TV show, I feel I don't really have very much of a personal life now. Everybody seems to have their own opinion about my life, my cats, my partner.
Yeah, everybody's got something to say.
The color of my socks. There was a girl on my show who was catfishing. She was pretending to be a straight girl, and I thought this was. I thought this was a little bit dishonorable. I've since met her, and I think she's gorgeous. But I was a little irritated about this because I thought, it's almost like a double whammy. You've got one group which seems sort of oppressed, which is being a woman. You've got another group which is being gay, and then you're pretending to be neither. Oh, I think she was pretending to be a straight man or something. But you're pretending to be neither of these things.
Yeah, and you double down on it. Yeah, that's crazy.
So what you want is to sort of you want to big up the things which perhaps sometimes get overlooked. And so I was asked, I was being very careful of talking about my partner rather than he. I avoided pronouns. But then I was asked in a little confessional bit, which was never broadcast. Can you talk a little bit about being gay? And I said, well, I never normally do. I just assume people are clever enough to look at the color of my socks and draw their own conclusions.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. Look how I dress. Draw your own conclusions. Exactly.
And the fact that I like Broadway musicals. But I.
Yeah.
And now people have sort of access to me on sort of Sundays and things when I make little videos for Instagram, and I think, oh, no, I don't think there's anything ostensibly gay about what I do, but it's a part of me. I think I would say if I want to talk about who I am, it's goat herder, ex-monk, teacher, professor, designer, animator, all that sort of stuff. I gay comes quite low down in the list. I don't.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
It's rather like being 5'8" or 5 foot. I don't know how tall I am. and you wouldn't work it out in feet and inches. Anyway.
Yeah, but on the list of priorities of things, like being gay is not top of the list that I feel I have to share with somebody. It doesn't define who I am. It just happens to be a part of my life. And the thing I do take from the show, though, is like I think, kind of like with Rudy, when Rudy and Hatch was having that conversation, I think when Rudy went home that maybe he opened the eyes up of his buddies a little bit. And I think that's kind of what I done. I had people that reached out to me that necessarily don't agree with my lifestyle or whatever. But however, it opened their eyes up to like, yo, I'm just a normal person. I'm good-hearted. I'm good people. And I think it opened their eyes up a little bit to break in some of those barriers that stand between our community and their community, you know?
Well, I think any taboos we can break, any sacred idols we can shatter, we need to shatter them. We need to challenge convention.
And this is why also I think this is why I think representation does matter, because I feel like Rudy in 2000 is basically kind of standing in for America. Because I thought I was one of those people. I mean, I've always said, like, I got nothing against it. It's two adults. They can do whatever they want, right? I've just never met one, which of course is ridiculous, right? But this is like, we're talking about the 80s and the 90s, right? So many people were still in the closet, right?
Yeah. They probably all through your family. Who knows?
Well, I'm from southeastern Kentucky.
I have straight people.
Yeah, I was going to say. So, what is this like? What is it like being gay in Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm in the Bible Belt, you know, like.
Oh my God.
I'm in the Bible Belt. So it's like I've met people in Walmart where they're like, oh my God, you were fantastic. And this, and this. And then like, I'll pray for you over your affliction. You know? And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Hold on. You know, and so it's been interesting. However, I have to say, that I didn't think that I would have been as well received as I have been in my community. But I think that they saw past, and that's what I was hoping to begin with. I think they saw past the word gay and just got to know Elaine. And that's And once they done that, who doesn't love the biscuit? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm eyeing a little bit of biscuit here, actually.
No, but you know what I mean? I think it helps.
Absolutely. You come across so well, even in these few minutes that I've known you. I mean, I want to know you for the rest of my life.
That's awful. Yeah.
I figured these two, I said, this is going to be like a weird, odd couple, and either it's going to work or it's not. And I'm so proud that now the two friends of mine are now going to be friends with each other.
Dude, I'm flying to the UK. I'm going to come visit.
We've got a spare room.
It's called a redneck vacation. That's where I come crash on your couch because I'm poor, you know. So.
And even though she's not so poor anymore, she's still going to come crash on your couch. Yeah, that's how you keep the money. That's how you keep the money, Sandra, with coupons, right? So Tim, there's the one woman who has won twice. I said, last week was the first time we have somebody who's also won twice, but still the only woman. And so she has won at least $2 million. Right. Wow. Plus whatever fees you get for the other shows she's been on, etc. And she is still famous for clipping coupons, right? And she'll get on Twitter and say, hand towels are $3 at Walmart. That's how you keep the money.
Yeah. Well, with me, when I got Sia's money, I paid my debt off. So it's and I'm buying my uncle out. He owns half the farm, so I'm buying my uncle out, and then I'm broke, but I have no bills and I got my land. It's like, what more do I want? So it's like it was a total blessing to me. So I'm pinching pennies around here now too. But
you don't need electricity. You know how to survive without it now.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I don't know how well my woman would last, but I do all right.
You'll make fire for her. You know that. You will provide. You will provide. That is your job from now on.
And so, but then we had this whole conversation, maybe we've already discussed it, but this whole question about, is it a lifestyle? Right. And of course, I don't know that we get Dr. Sean, right? Who's the next person I want to talk about. The Dr. Sean is telling Rich, a gay person, right? The gay people don't want to be called gay.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was hilarious. It's like, what? That makes no sense. Like that you're speaking for, I didn't get that. Like, it's like, recognize who you're speaking to. You're talking to a gay man. Like, I don't think you should tell him the opinion of gay people. Like, that's crazy.
Right. So, Elaine, were you the only gay person that you know on your series?
No, there was another bisexual girl on there, and then there was another gay man on there. So it was really good representation across the board.
Yeah, CBS, even the fact that in 2000 that they had Hatch on, and then also on The Amazing Race, right? Where it's teams of 2 that race around the world, and there was a gay couple.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. And it was just, like I said, so just, of course they're just normal people, right? I always knew that intellectually, but something about just watching, these 2 men, you couldn't get married back then, but they were clearly in a long-term live-in relationship, right? They had a dog. So they were Team Guido because Guido was their dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is what we're so upset about, right? What's the big deal?
Well, being able to see our people being represented on TV it really does help people just understand. It's kind of like the same thing with the race thing, back in the 50s, 60s or whatever, everything was taboo. And as we've gotten, the years have passed, things have gotten better, even though they're not where they need to be, on all fronts. I think the gays have made great strides in race and stuff. That stuff is come along a lot better, but it's still not where it needs to be. So I think that having representation on TV, it helps kind of break down those barriers and stuff. So, but I never even thought of it that way. I was just redneck Elaine from Kentucky. I just, you know what I mean?
Right. And I was just Tim. You see that?
Yeah.
I don't see this as defining me.
Right. And I'm sure that with Rich, that his, being gay did not define himself so much either, but it was certainly something that CBS, kind of.
Have I missed out on something, or was there anybody else in this in this season who was gay?
In Borneo?
Because I picked up on Rich when I saw the first episode.
Well, there's rumors after the season. There's rumors that Yeah, there was rumors that I think they were rumored that maybe Greg was maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought there was rumors after the season was over.
Yeah, I just want to be careful. I don't want to out somebody who's not out, but certainly, I mean, with a group of 16 people, right, it would make sense that they're, just statistics.
10%,
right?
10%. Yes, there we are. There ought to be at least one other.
Right.
We're obviously going to be fascinated, and I'm going to go through with a tooth comb. Trying to identify who is another gay person, potentially gay person.
Yeah. But the way that Dr. Sean reacted is probably just, again, it's just kind of the way that a lot of people, Dr. Sean can't read a room, right? For the life of him, right? He just knows it all. He's a doctor. He's smart. He knows that he's smart, right? So, and also he wants a career in entertainment. Right. I think we already see him talking about this, that he wants to, go to LA or whatever. So he's like very, very aware of how he's going to come across on TV. Right. Yeah. But then he still said something like this. It's just a kind of tone deaf, like you said, just think about who you're talking to. Yeah. But then on the other hand, Dr. Sean is also responsible for the Super Bowl 2000, right? Which I just have to flag, right? Apparently he made, what did he say? Spends 5 hours making a fishing pole, as if he's acting as if he invented the fishing pole.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, so for what it's worth, the Super Bowl 2000, just spoiler alert going forward, that pole never did catch a single fish, right? but because it's Dr. Sean, right? He wasn't going to give up.
Yeah. Yeah, he was trying. It's like, I think after a couple days of that, though, I think I would have came up with a different method. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he stuck with it. I mean, you can't say he didn't try.
Well, it's not like you got anything else to do, I guess. But, but it was just kind of funny.
Yes.
All right. So, so the next, did you something else you wanted to bring up, Tim?
No. Just that really from very shortly into the point when this episode, oh gosh, there you are. There's another obsession. When this episode began, I just thought that the whole theme of the episode was to gross out the viewer, and it just sort of.
Oh, they'll get much better at that.
I think we had we had the nighttime rats in the opening sequence,
right?
And then gradually the rats sort of take over the camp, and and then you've got the bug thing, and I think it's oh, the other thing is now
all those notes, you can't keep them straight. Look at that.
That's actually something that's happened.
Very confrontational, and washing his clothes, and I've got one.
Yeah. We're gonna get to all of that, Tim. Like I said, we're not necessarily. I'm trying something else here rather than just doing it chronologically from the beginning of the episode, right? So we'll get to BB and his t-shirt. Don't worry, we're gonna get there.
And I having so much time, sort of bonding.
Exactly. But we get to the gross food challenge, and again, this is something that we'll see over and over again in Survivor, although a little bit differently, right? So what they do is so the way it works now is that it's two tribes normally, and each tribe and they'll eat different things, right? And so for each thing, one person will be put up. But what they did with this one was just they sit down and it calls a butod, apparently, BUTOD. It's a beetle. It's a beetle. It's a beetle larvae.
It looks quite cute. I mean, it's the sort of thing that Disney would animate, isn't it? Really. And then it's mouths, and you think which end do we put in first? I didn't find that the most gross out moment. Actually, the thing which I found particularly gross, and that I really I had to close my eyes, I'm afraid, and wince every time, was these people who wanted me to look inside their mouth, or wanted the host
when they were done.
For God's sake, it's like looking at an extended when I was younger, I thought it'd be such fun to go into the church, and in fact, I did become a monk. But if I'd done it a few years earlier, you would have had this sort of horror that you would become a priest and you'd find a row of people with their tongues stuck out. It's just disgusting. And obviously, religion sort of earmarks what is the most potentially disgusting moments in life anywhere,
right?
And then sort of deifies them. It's in every single religion. Whatever makes you wince, that's what we're going to do in big time. But here, I wonder whether or not the open mouth and the tongue sticking out stuff was part of the sort of ritual of Survivor. It sort of intrigued me, but I was more grossed out by that than by the little insect.
Well,
who
like I said,
if they were refugees from Star Trek or something.
Wait a minute! I'm trying to. Who's the refugee from Star Trek? The
wonderful little yellow insects. They should have an entire series of their own. A spin-off series like those little yellow people in that animated film with Julie Andrews doing the villain's voice. I can't remember what the animated film was called.
I don't know.
Inside Out? No,
it was wonderful, and the man who wanted to take over the world and wanted to steal the moon, and he had these minions. He had these little minions. You see, so they were eating minions. They were eating them.
No, I totally see them as Disney characters. I get that, right? You just put little faces on them. Yeah. But right. I'm trying to remove the cat from my notes. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, but the way they did this is anyway, everybody had to eat them. And I wasn't sure also about how the timing worked on this, because they said everybody has to eat one.
About all these television claims, no animal was hurt in the filming of this program.
Right.
Well, what about all the minions?
They don't do that on Survivor. Yeah.
Well, these are seen as food. Apparently, this is a delicacy, right, in Borneo. At least that's what they claim. So they all had to eat them. Like I said, I wasn't quite sure how this game worked. Sorry? Yeah, they're alive. Yes. Yes.
Elaine, did you do it?
No, we didn't have to do that on my season, but I couldn't. I have a weak stomach. I can't eat stuff like that. I
don't think the stomach was the starting point. I was actually going through the mouth would be the starting point. I mean,
Yeah. But as soon as it went in my mouth, I'd have been dry heaving. It would have been over. I couldn't have done it. So it was gross.
Really awful.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're supposed to kind of think badly of Jervis, right? Because he has a hard time getting it down. And like I said, that would be me. right? Yeah, I would want to be up for the adventure and all that, but yeah, no, especially the thing is still moving.
Yeah.
Right. You give me a dead worm.
Yeah.
Gross still, but maybe. But
oh, come on. We're not into worms. I have enough problem with spaghetti. I find it sort of gets messed up with my beard, and I can't tell which is which. Start eating worms, they'll be wriggling around like I'd be like some sort of horror film. Vincent Price on a good day. Vincent Price actually on British television. I don't know whether it ever made it over to the US, but it was wonderful. There was a wonderful advert where he was advertising some sort of Sillet loo, a toilet cleaner, and if you have to imagine Vincent Price's voice, gets under the rim, and it just so gorgeous. But it does gross you out. You imagine maggots in your beard, not attractive.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, Elaine, would this work as a redneck game? But I guess you wouldn't play it.
Yeah, it would work as a redneck game because rednecks do stupid things, but this old redneck ain't playing that game. I would have to
Don't you have worms in a bottle of alcohol in America or Mexico?
Oh, I think it's tequila. Yeah.
Yeah.
And mezcal. Yeah, I don't do that either.
Have you had that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've drank tequila, but I've never ate the worm at the bottom of the bottle. No.
Well done. Yeah. Defy convention. I haven't.
Yeah, no, and I actually, because I keep kosher, I do drink tequila, but not mezcal. And I'm quite happy with that decision, right? I've never felt any need to question that. If there's been a worm in there, and they don't think they even eat the worm, but like the worm has been in the bottle. Yeah, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
Right. But so anyway, so Jervis does get the one worm down. So that's why, since everybody ate one, they have to do like a tiebreaker. And so each tribe gets to pick somebody else from the other tribe, the person that they think would be like the most squeamish. And obviously not so hard to pick out Jervis, right? And then Pagong puts up Stacy, right? And Stacy does it faster, right? And that's why Pagong has to go to tribal council. Yeah. But before, it's just, like I said, it looks so different from like the gross fooding challenges that we've seen in the past. But like I said, I'm glad to meet somebody else who has the same reaction I do, because I can't even, and when they start retching, like I got to turn off the sound. I'm done.
Yeah, I can't. If somebody starts dry heaving beside of me, I'm gonna.
I'm already closing my eyes, actually, even at the thought.
Okay, well let's move on then.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but we probably shouldn't talk about balut and explain to Tim that they've eaten things that are way worse than
really? Tell me. Come on.
I can't remember what season it is. They ate a balut egg.
I think they've done it a few times. Yeah.
It's basically a baby chick that's an embryo baby chick, but it's got like full beak, full fur, feathers or whatever, not fur, but
why are they doing this? Surely this
because apparently this is a delicacy in certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, not having it. But yeah, we should probably move on before we lose Tim.
Yeah.
I just think to do these things for the purpose of entertainment is morally reprehensible.
That's TV, brother. That's TV. That's how it goes.
Yeah, but the live animal issue with food and the odd animal issue with food. This is surely one of the ways that we introduced coronavirus into our system.
Well, in later seasons, in season China, they ate bat.
Yeah,
they ate bat. So it's like,
I just feel that there's a little. I have this sort of moral urge every so often. It's sort of, and I just find, we have a responsibility. Beyond entertainment, we we should be ethically entertaining, and I think.
But see, this is the thing, though. Is I'll just be the devil's advocate here. If this is a society again where like it is totally accepted, like I said, if you can eat the chicken, right, whatever that bird would grow up to be, right. If that thing survives and hatches, right, and grows up, we can eat that, right. Everybody's cool on that. Right. But my point is just that different societies have different ideas about what constitutes food.
It's interesting.
Yes, but if that society's food obsessions lead to a major epidemic, we have to think, some of these habits are not good.
Oh, and I think that there's been a lot of discussion about that, after Corona, whatever. But and supposedly they have closed down that one market. But again, that is just the thing in terms of certainly in China that is really true, that they go to these wet markets where you can buy a live animal. Yeah. Right, and then take it home. But anyway, I don't want to talk about it reminds me of the epidemic.
We can't solve all the world's problems. We're focused right
also now. The whole rat thing. Has anybody not heard of bubonic plague? And
oh yeah,
well, humans don't particularly like rats, right? And that's why this whole thing.
Rats are charming, though. They do have sensitivities.
They're smart. I actually worked with rats once in a lab when I took a science course, and I had to train a rat to run through a maze. And they're smart, but again, this was a nice, clean, literally a lab rat, right? Right. It wasn't going to give me any diseases or anything like that, right? So did you have like rats in your shelter, Elaine, or that's just not something that happens in Fiji? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Can I ask the same question I asked the other day? Were they introduced or were they real?
No, I think they were. I mean, because you got snakes. I killed one of the most poisonous snakes out there. You got snakes and stuff out there. So if you got snakes, then you're gonna have rats. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the
food
tier, the food chain. So like they were there, and like if you try not to throw stuff around your camp, like coconuts or spill your rice or stuff like that, because stuff you leave behind. That's why the rats come. So you try to like keep your camp clean. Same basic rules of your home. Try to keep it clean so that kind of vermin don't come. So
Pagan was not terribly good at that, was it?
Well, that's the whole thing, that these two tribes really are very different, and we just kind of continue to see that, right? Mm-hmm. The Tagi is, they've got their chores and they've got their ways of doing things, and and whereas Pagan is here for a party, right? I mean, that's pretty clear, right? That and that's why Bibi, I think, had such a hard time with it. But so on the other hand, yes, the differences in work ethic and all that.
But Bibi was the person who wanted that rather strange tent contraption in the middle of the beach.
Right. But then he's also doing things like boiling his shirt in the drinking water. Right. They had a pot on for, I guess, to make rice / water for canteens. Mm-hmm. Right. And he just dropped his shirt in it. And I guess there wasn't going to be enough time that night to go and get more water. So this is just like, you want to talk about like a bonehead move.
Then he says he will go and do it, but
he said I'll go get it, but they said no, that won't work. But
how far is it from the camp to the water?
Well, I don't think it was that it was such a far way away. I think that because it was getting dark, that the trek would be dangerous. Because you can't see, you have no lights. So I think that was the big issue. Whereas he could have waited to the next day, used dirty well water to wash his clothes instead of using water that they had already boiled for canteens to wash. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Or even if you want to, because I guess you probably could clean your clothes even better, right? If you're worried about stuff is growing in it or whatever. Yeah. But even then, like I said, it's just about communicating with your tribe. Like in Jervis, and it's when Jervis is talking to Bibi, it's clear this is not the first time he's ever said this, right? He says, remember, we got to vote. We got to talk about these things. You can't just, put your shirt in the pot. And you know what his reply was? Bibi says, I'll vote on things that don't matter. Right. That's fine. But for things that matter to my survival or my comfort, I'm not voting.
Yeah, that's that stubbornness. That's a stubbornness.
Yeah. Well, but I've learned a few things about Bibi with doing some research for the show. I mean, they tell us he's a real estate developer, right? What I didn't know was that, and this is from the survivor historians talking about this, that apparently Bibi was one of the richest Americans at the time when he went on the show. Yes, really? Apparently he is incredibly wealthy. CBS, flies everybody out together. Bibi flew to Malaysia by himself because he was not going to fly coach. Right. So he bought himself a first class ticket to Malaysia. Yeah. But then at least it makes a little bit more sense when and he was actually going to donate the money if he won. Because he was going to donate the money to charity. Right. He was just really there for the experience, the adventure. But that's why I think, he was just, it's going to be my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And when his way wasn't working, Now, so what do you think? So this is the question, right? Is this a quit, right? Is this the first time? Because I think there's an argument both ways on this, right? He certainly seems to be indicating earlier in the episode, that I've done what I've come for, you can vote me out. But then it seems to kind of be changing because he could have just gone to tribal, right? And done that, right? Just said, please vote me out of here. But it doesn't seem that but then Gretchen does vote for her. So anyway, any thoughts on this? Did BB want to go home or not?
I think he wanted to go home, but I think he had like a moment of weakness, but I think he changed his mind in the long run because he's like, well, we might as well work it out and see what happens. And you have those moments where you're like, yo, this ain't working. I ain't doing good or whatever. I'm arguing, I'm fighting. So I do think he thought about it, but I think he changed his mind in the last minute.
But he doesn't seem happy.
No, he wasn't.
And I think the washing of his clothes was a sort of defiant thing.
Right. That he's just, like I said, Rudy,
like a child.
Yeah.
He's not bonding with anybody.
Right. Well, except for Gretchen. He got along well with Gretchen.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Well, that doesn't last long, does it?
And then also with Ramona, right? In the first, so we know with Ramona from the beginning, right? Even on the raft ride in, right? She's already sick. And she continues to be sick and kind of, lie around. And I think everybody else is understanding, except for BB.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's just more the same.
It has a lot to do with that age too, because the older generation they went to work when they were sick. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? Broke leg, go to work. Broke arm, go to work. You know what I mean? So maybe it has a little bit to do with his age. Why he was like, "Yo, being sick is no excuse. We still need to get these things done." So.
Right. Yeah. But, and then the other thing we saw is that he didn't even bother to learn their names. Okay. You're on the beach with 7 other people. Right. And we are now at least 4 days in, right, when this episode starts. So, okay, Greg's calling him Craig. Okay. But then he's Pink Bikini, right, which was Jenna. But you've been on a beach with 7 people for 4 days and you don't know their names. I mean, I'm bad at names. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think we're all just saying the same thing, right? He ran out of fucks a long time ago, right? I'm take it or leave it. And, so they decided to leave it.
Yeah. And they voted his ass out.
Yep.
They gave him what he wanted, I guess.
Right. Eventually. Right. Certainly that's what he wanted. But then there was another thing. So even before, let me back up. So, because he did say right before tribal, he says, if you vote me or Gretchen out, it's going to be like an atomic bomb. Right. So I get you this your argument. He wasn't really trying to go home, but he ends up going home. But I don't know, Elaine, have you ever heard the story? Have you ever heard the story about the first Pagong tribal council, about what was really going on?
No.
Okay. Pagong, they were just not having this. Okay. They were the fun tribe. Right. And so they just kind of, especially tribal is supposed to be very solemn. Right. Yeah. And they were just cracking up. So I think the first time they voted, they all tried to, or not all of them, but many of them tried to vote for Prost. Right.
Oh, right.
And you can imagine how well that went over.
Yeah. Jeff didn't take kindly to jokes when he's doing his job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Right. I've experienced that myself.
Right. Oh, yeah. Did he ever come after you?
He's going to see a boy.
Well, we had done okay. So in my season, the first few days we didn't even see Jeff. We didn't get a marooning. We didn't see Jeff, and so we were contemplating on what was going on because that's never happened before. There's always been some kind of marooning or something. Yeah. And so we started brainstorming. I'm pretty funny. I like to cut up. So we started brainstorming. I was like, yo, Jeff's quit. We've got a new host. Jerry Springer's going to be our host, or Maury Povich, different stuff. And so I came up with this thing. I was like, yo, you ever watch the movie Super Troopers?
Wonderful.
So whenever the cops pull those kids over, they play this game where you have to say the word meow. And incorporate it and see how many times you can say meow in a sentence. Well, so for 3 days we were brainstorming on this. I was like, yo, I know what we'll do. When we meet Jeff, whoever he talks to, say the word meow. You have to say meow in your sentence. And then the whole tribe was going to say meow behind it, which we thought was hilarious. We laughed, we rolled. So we go to the challenge. And it was the first time we had met Jeff. We go to the challenge. And Jeff said something, and I was actually the person that he talked to. And Jeff said something to me. I don't remember what I said, but I remember I had got the word. What I said at the end was, I'm just ready to go right meow. And when I said meow, my whole tribe meowed behind me. And the other tribe didn't know what the hell was going on.
So they could hear you? Because I thought the whole point was when you do these voting confessionals that they're not supposed to be able to hear you.
I was saying at a challenge I'd done this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at the challenge, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go right meow. Let's go. I'm ready to, win, whatever. And then my whole tribe went meow behind me. And he was just stone-faced like, and he just turned to the other tribe and started talking. He was not playing it at all. So what I was saying is I can understand where he's trying to be serious and like do his thing. And them voting Jeff, he was probably pissed when he read those votes. He was probably so pissed.
Oh yeah.
That would have been super funny to see though. Yeah, but then
you guys got along. I mean, were you the first contestant? I mean, it's happened now in 40, but were you the first contestant to ever hug Probst when you went out? So Elaine, when she gets her torch stuff, she asked for a hug and she got it, right? But it's clear that you guys had. I mean, you butt heads a little bit sometimes, but it's clear that he liked you.
No, yeah, me and Jeff's, we're cool. I don't think I'm the first. I think I'm the first one to ever ask him for a hug. Well, I didn't really ask. I was like, "Yo, Jeff, let's hug it out."
Yeah, but that's still asking.
Yeah, and when I won my challenge, I hugged him and kissed him then too. And
that's right.
And which was super funny because same thing happened. They were all nudging me to do it, and so I went and gave him a hug and kissed him on the dimple, and I was like, yes. And we was all laughing, which he was pretty cool about it. He was laughing, and we were cutting up and stuff. So,
I think he might be loosening up a little bit again now that he is so much more secure, about what he does. Obviously, he can do his job in his sleep, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why he can kind of, take it. Yeah, because
the thing I love about Jeff though is he's sarcastic as hell, and he's really. And so, like, if you get a dig in on him, he's getting you back. You know what I mean? And I love that because I'm a bit of a smart ass. And I just think if you can't bust somebody's chops, to me, you don't like them. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's where I come from with it. But Jeff's cool. I love Jeff. It was a good time, though.
Right.
It was fun.
Right. And so we say goodbye to BB. And so two of we already flagged this last week that, there are three older people in the cast, meaning like, over the age of 40 or so. And two of them, were already gone.
Yep.
You're just putting a pin in that. So I think we've had, the only other thing I didn't pick up was
Greg and Colleen.
Yes, thank you for that.
Going off for a little date.
What do you think of those two?
Well, I think that was very sweet. I thought they were very sweet.
Do you know what we call this, Tim, when people meet? Now they insisted, even after the show, that they're just friends. But what we call in reality TV, when there's two people again who didn't meet each other before and they're on the show and they, show interest in each other, we call it a showmance.
Yeah.
Rather than a romance, it's a showmance. Right. So this is our first showmance. Right. So it is sweet. But on the other hand, we do hear the rest of the tribe, the rest of Pagong is saying, like, where have they been? Right. They've been gone for an hour.
Yeah.
So that's, again, just flagging something that is still an issue in Survivor. Right. Elaine, you can speak to this. You just don't want to be gone from camp for a long time. You don't want people to not know where you're at.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, in my season, I was working. Me and two other people were gone working, gathering materials, and while we were gone, the majority jumped on board and was like, yo, those three are out. You know what I mean? So you have to watch that. In the early beginnings of the show, season one, like we're doing, it wasn't so prevalent. It was, you know what I mean? Like, people did take notice, but on, like, season 39, instant target as soon as you left.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was a drastic. It's the difference between the two is like crazy. How now it's big no.
Right. Well, again, because the game starts, the second you hit the beach, if not before. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in Borneo, this whole idea about, they understand it's a game. They understand they have to vote people off. They understand there's money involved. But in these early episodes, they're really just kind of getting to know each other. Right. There's none of this, voting somebody out because there is a threat.
Yeah.
Right. So and that does seem kind of Probably
I
crazy
wish we had that on my season.
Well, they tried. No, what they did want to vote you out. So with Elaine, Kim, even though she did very, very well, she went on vote just before the finale, right, when there were 7 people. But already, like on the first day, like she said, she was cutting up with her tribe, and they were already saying we better vote her out because if she gets to the end, she's going to get the money.
Yeah. So they wanted to kick me out first.
So they wanted to get rid of you because they thought you were too successful.
She was too likable, right? She made it to the end.
Yeah, what they said is like, listen, you're fantastic. Everybody loves you. You're gonna win on day 39 if you stay here. We have to send you home. And I was like, what? And yeah, I made it to day 35 though. So
yeah,
I worked my magic and stayed in a little longer, but.
Yeah, and I was actually rewatching your boot episode right before we started, and yeah, I mean it was tough to watch. And I think I actually predicted pretty early in the season. I said Elaine is our fallen angel, which is what we call. It's often this person who gets voted out just before the finale.
Yeah, that was me. I missed it by one day. I missed it, so it's like. But it is what it is, man. You got to take the good with the bad, and there was a lot of bad.
Presumably, you start to lose sense of time as well.
Well, my season they kept up with it. Like
they normally Did you on a stick or something? Did you carve a hash marker?
And then they would run through it like we had to reward this day. We had you know what I mean? They would go through it. And on season 40, you've seen they actually made a calendar, and kept track with it. Because sometimes you get supplies and rewards and stuff. So they made a calendar to keep up with it, which was actually pretty cool. I thought that was pretty smart. I'm going to do that next time.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. But back to Greg and Colleen. I mean, I'm not sure if there's much to say except that they're very young and they're very cute and they're very sweet together, and just kind of putting a pin in it in terms of whether that's going to be an issue in the future. So again, anything else from this episode that we didn't touch on? Tim, I know, is going through his notes. I'll give him a second.
A breaker in front of the tent. Oh yes.
Oh, the logs that BB tried to put. Yeah. That still wasn't going to work. You're not going to stop the water, but it was a good try. He couldn't admit defeat, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, right. I mean, Gretchen was right, because again, Gretchen is the one who actually has military experience and survival experience, and she says you want to put it back in the canopy, and he's like, nope, we're going to put it on the beach, and then like you said, and then we're going to try to stop the tide.
Right?
Yeah, because.
Yeah, but that just attests to his stubbornness and his unwillingness to listen to anybody else's opinion but his own.
Yep.
And the fact that he hasn't seen Swiss Family Robinson.
We
built it in the tree.
Yeah, true. That's true. Yeah.
All right.
With elaborate lifts and staircases.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, and Elaine, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about?
No, I mean, I think the first season was the season that got me hooked. The very first episode, I was hooked on it, and it kind of gave me my drive to be on it. Even 20 years later, I tried out before, but I didn't quite cut it before. So it's like it's always cool to go back and see how far the show has actually come. And just from like comments like Rudy makes and to different things like that, like it's really cool to see how far the show has progressed. And I'm just excited for maybe another 20. I think that would be super cool to you know what I mean? Put in another 20, but who knows?
So what do you think about this idea though? So Tim, I think we spoke about this last week, that on the finale of this most recent season, right? We were just kind of all the fans were just assuming that there wasn't going to be a season in the fall, right? Because they couldn't get to Fiji to film. And then Probst says, at the end of the finale, we are committed to coming back in the fall. And it seems like with kids starting from age 16 or 17. So what do you think about that? Is this a bad idea or a really bad idea? What do you think?
For me personally, I think that they're going to maybe do something here. Maybe
it has to be. It has to be domestic. That's the only thing I can think of.
Why not do kids? I don't know how popular it would be with other viewers, because I mean, you really don't want kids lie, cheating, and stealing, do you? I mean,
well, that's the problem, right?
It's like
they're not children. I mean,
I don't think it's going to be the same guidelines per se that say the adult games have. I think it may be a little different. There may be more restrictions on it.
Right.
But we'll see. I think they just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And this just happens to be something that Probst is willing to give a try. We'll see how well it does.
Right. And they kind of also couched it, right? Obviously, if they can't do it for whatever reason, right, then they're off the hook. But I just found that interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So Elaine, so let's start. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm all over social media. I got an Instagram and a Twitter at Elaine Stott 32, and I have a fan page on Facebook, so you guys can hit me up on that. My other Facebook is maxed out. I can't accept no more friends, so I had to make a fan page. So yeah, y'all look me up. Tim, you should be hitting me up on Instagram. We need to hang out.
I'm going to. Look, as soon as we come off this, I'm going to go to @Elaine
Stott
32.
Yeah, that's my old ball number.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
Bowling.
No, I played softball. It was my old softball number.
What's softball?
What?
He's not American.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not American.
Okay.
Sorry. Is it like baseball?
It's baseball for girls.
Oh, right. I see. Okay, there we are.
With a slightly larger ball.
It's not cricket. That's what y'all play, ain't it? Cricket?
Yeah, cricket. I never understood cricket either, so don't worry.
Okay. yeah.
I am useless on both sides of the Atlantic.
Right.
And Tim?
Yeah. Up, Tim.
I'm just imagining this could be like the weirdest bunny movie ever, and I am so here for it.
Well, I think Elaine and I should go off into the next but one survival series and do it together.
Oh,
well, they've done that actually. They call it Blood versus Water.
Blood versus
where
Water,
it's two family members who play together. But that's right. But it doesn't have to be a family member, right? That they've also done with friends or whatever.
We could have our own created family.
Dude, I'm going to pitch a TV show to CBS, The Biscuit Goes Abroad, and I'm coming over to your
please come to me. Come to me. I could come over to you too. I love Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah. I actually live where the original KFC is, so we're big time around here.
Oh well, I know nothing about KFC either.
Okay.
Have you had fried chicken, Tim? That's a very American thing. Really?
No,
never had American fried chicken.
I just take one look at it and I think, no, wretch opportunity. I prefer to have bugs. But really, I've had a lot of Russian children and people from Eastern Europe staying in my house, and they all bring these ghastly pizzas and ghastly KFCs into the house, and just the smell of them sort of makes my stomach turn slightly.
You ain't never had
then all the sauces, and it gets so messy.
You ain't never had like country real fried chicken. That's
I was going to say. I mean, the fast food chicken.
I'd love that.
Yeah, fast food fried chicken is one thing, but if you got somebody who can really fry chicken,
absolutely, absolutely. No, I'm all in favor of some decent home cooking.
There you go.
As long as there aren't too many sauces. All right. Yeah. And Tim, where can people find
we could isolate on your ranch.
This is true. We could.
We could survive.
Your description of being on 100 acres, right? When I'm stuck in a city apartment. Yeah, I'm absolutely ready to come and redneck camp on your couch.
There you go. Right.
And I could learn how to make fire with a twig.
We'll get Tim ready for Survivor. What else does he have to learn?
All right. We'll talk about it. We'll see what we can make happen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, Tim, where can people find you and your drawings and your Sunday videos and all the rest?
Oddly, they can find me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook fan page too, which is somehow linked to Instagram or something. I don't quite know how these things work or YouTube. But so you can find me on Instagram at Professor_Tim_Wilson, all one thing, or you can find me on YouTube, and there I use my partner's name. It's Zontul Films Limited, ZONTUL FILMS LTD, and Zontul is a wonderful name. It means high mountain. It's ancient Syriac, so it's actually the language that Jesus would have spoken. There's one for the Bible Belt, and he would have said,
"That's cool."
He said, "Come on, mates, let's go up the Zontul." up he would have gone. So Zonto Films Limited, and then I think I'm on Twitter. Is that Prof_Tim?
I think you're also top Prof_Tim_Wilson.
And so
if you search for Tim Wilson, it will come up. Even if you don't have the exact.
I sort of look. I look sort of slightly pale, I think, with my hands out, looking sort of, come to me, you know. But now I've started. I've done some food videos, and so I've been making vegetarian food for this last week. Has been vegetarian week, and also my birthday. I think the two things go together.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Tim!
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. And so I made a vegetarian spaghetti bolognese. I never eat spaghetti because I think, you know, it just mixed up with the beer. And I feel like one of those characters in what's the is it the Johnny Depp film Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The fellow with sort of worms coming out of his. No, not me. And
so pasta's okay, different shapes, right?
So sorry, what?
I was saying, so pasta's okay, but just different shapes.
Different shapes, modest pasta, as opposed to immodest pasta, which just goes on forever. You don't want your pasta to be immodest.
Immodest pasta. Never heard of it. Never heard.
I think Professor Tim just made that up.
Elaine, come here as soon as you can.
Yeah, I will. I will.
All right, I just have to break up this love fest for 1 second, just to tell everybody that coming up on Survivor NSFW. Yes, thank you, Tim. Yeah, as an afterthought. So Tim has fallen in love with Elaine, and she's like, "Oh, Karen, you can come too."
Yeah.
But coming up on Survivor NSFW, Johnny. So that we already have now in the can. Johnny spoke to the great Reem Daly of season 38, which was the first time we had Edge of Extinction. Mm-hmm. Talk about this season, talk about Edge, talk about lots of other things. That's already up. And then coming up next week, I believe, next Wednesday, Johnny is going to be talking to Dr. Marcus Lehman of Survivor Gabon, right? Marcus has a new show called Labor of Love on Fox. And I believe the show premiered last Thursday, right? So they're going to be discussing Survivor, the first episode, anything else that comes up with Dr. Marcus. You could also please consider becoming a patron of Survivor NSFW. If you become a patron, you get access to a private Facebook group, right, to discuss the show with other fans. And you also get several extra podcasts every month, including Castaway Watch Along, where people like Johnny and Matt, we've already done both of their seasons, but they rewatch their own seasons, right, with their commentary and often with other people from their casts. That's all available for patrons, as well as a weekly Q&A, right? If you have a question for Johnny and Matt, right, unless it's really, really disgusting, they will answer you. So you can find all of that. The regular free feed is on youtube.com Survivor NSFW or on your regular podcast app. And if you're interested in joining Patreon, go to www.patreon.com. So until then, next time, I hope everybody should stay safe, stay healthy, right? Keep washing your masks and
wash them damn hands. Wash them.
Yes, wash your hands, wash your masks, wash everything.
Yeah.
Right.
The best tune for singing, perfect tune for the 20 seconds washing your hands is "God Save the Queen."
God save the Queen.
Here anyway.
Yeah, well, we sing the same song as "My Country 'Tis of Thee." Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Did we steal the tune from you?
I'm not singing. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I am not singing.
I can do a rendition for you if you want. And we had a second verse that nobody knows. But anyway,
really? Right. There is another verse?
Oh, there's lots. Okay. There's lots.
All right. So I think off air, Tim and Elaine can catch up on the differences between God Save the Queen and My Country 'Tis of Thee.
Yeah.
Also, so coming up, so Professor Tim and I will be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And next week, we are going to be joined by Mario Lanza. Mario was a member of the Survivor Press Corps almost from the beginning. He's one of the Survivor historians on their podcast. He is the author of When It Was Worth Playing For, a book about the early history of Survivor.
He's
And
really
I'm sure that I am
Mario-
forgetting other parts of his bio. I'm sorry, Tim, what was your question?
He's really called Mario Lanza,
That is really his name.
as in the wonderful tenor
Don't even know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is the same. Yeah.
from the 1950s.
That's right,
Who-
the Mario Lanza. I'm
who-
not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. I'm not very knowledgeable about. This is an
I
opera
like
singer.
Roma, goodbye and au revoir.
I knew he was gonna get the singing in somehow. I just knew
Yeah.
get it in there. I just knew it.
Yeah, arrivederci Roma, and it's sung by it's sung to Mario Lanza by this incredibly small Neapolitan girl who just sort of belts it out. She's arrivederci Roma.
All right. Well, maybe next week we'll do a sing off between
There you go.
Professor
Well,
Tim
I'm
and
perhaps
Mario
in love
and see.
with Mario Lanza. How can I possibly resist? I would barely be able to contain myself. The entire show will be sung.
You
Sung
better,
through.
better
It'll be
start
like Les
practicing.
Miserables, but shorter.
Better start practicing.
Yes, and I will warn this Mario Lanza that Tim is going to be expecting another Mario Lanza next week.
You better warn him. You better warn him.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm so excited.
So thank you again for everyone who's joined us, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.